This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Ewan McGregor stars as Count Alexander Rostov in A Gentleman in Moscow, the new limited series based on the best-selling novel. Stream it on March 29th with the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan. Visit ParamountPlus.com to try it free.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. An unlikely friendship begins in the Paramount Plus original movie Little Wing, starring Brooklyn Prince with Kelly Riley and Brian Cox. Reeling from her parents' divorce, Caitlin steals a valuable bird to save her home, but instead forms a bond with the owner, leading to a new outlook on life. Little Wing, now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. Head to ParamountPlus.com to try it free. Rated PG-13.
When you hear this, what do you feel? At IMAX, you'll feel transported by our unique sound system and crystal clear images. Like you're running across a desert planet or defending your city from a surprise invasion. With immersive IMAX sound and screens curved to show more, we take fans to the edge of their seats. Get tickets to Dune Part 2 now and experience it in IMAX's exclusive expanded aspect ratio.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network, and the last episode where we celebrate a month of Razzie movies and topics, which, we've finally reached the end. But we got a special one for you. But joining me for this show, the final of our Razzie specials, is a very special person, my special lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
Not Adrian!
Not Adrian! Oh, you gave it away.
Come on, someone had to.
Yeah, that was my job. All right, we're doing movie starring Sylvester Stallone. Thanks. But here's the question. Why are we doing movies starring Sylvester Stallone? Because he is the one that stands atop Razzie Mountain with the most Razzie wins in Razzie history. So for all the awards that this man has won, including an Oscar, he's got more Razzies.
He has to have won more than one Oscar. He is Oscar.
I mean, he is Oscar, yes, but 10.
Mr. Provolone.
Count them. 10 Razzie wins in his illustrious career. So we are finishing our Razzie month with the man himself, synonymous with the word Razzie. And also synonymous with some good films as well, and some phenomenal storytelling too. And here's what we're going to do. We are going to take the long filmography of one Mr. Sylvester Stallone and pick 3 films, a keep, a watch, and a pass. The keep is one where we hold it in high regard, much like he holds up the record of having the most Razzies in history. The watch is film where it's like, yeah, you know what? It's cool. It's cool. Maybe not my fave, but definitely not a pass. And the pass, of course, is the one that probably won a Razzie along the way. And we're going to start with our keep film. So, Carrie, starring Sylvester Stallone, what is your keep film?
I am keeping Oscar. Love this movie. I mean, Stallone was fantastically funny. He was so funny. I think we've spoken about this movie before, so I won't go in depth, but Tim Curry, here's money.
Here's money.
Here's more money. Oh my God, like all of the actors, like just from the bumbling bodyguards to the maid. Oh my God, she was so funny. Like anyway, Oscar, I'm keeping it. I am watching it at least once a year. Love it.
Yeah.
On VHS, no doubt.
I mean, absolutely. We have covered that movie on It's Not That Bad, and I freaking love it. Like, it is one of my favorite Stallone films. But that being said, I did not pick it because I didn't want to be Captain Obvious in this episode because, yeah, I've raved about this film. And if someone were to tell you Sylvester Stallone in a taken from a stage play comedy film, how soon would you laugh me out of the room? probably pretty damn quick.
See, I disagree because I think that Stallone is so good in, your action adventure movies. He's so great in comedy. Like, he can do it all.
He is, but he wasn't really known for comedy so much until this film. Like, up to this point, it was movies like Cobra and the Rocky movies and the Rambo films. Yeah, absolutely. And then he puts this one out, and it's like, it is a gem. An absolute gem. So, as I was going through the list, and I didn't want to be obvious, right? And I'm looking through it. I'm like, yeah, I could pick this film. And then I'm like, it. Demolition Man.
Yeah, I knew.
I know you knew.
I knew you were going to pick that.
And I was like, yeah, I could be, not obvious. I could pick a more obscure film because I've seen a ton of films with him in it, right? But I'm like, no. I get one shot to say Demolition Man is my keep film. Really, I get one shot.
You talk about it all the time.
I do talk about it all the time. There's a reason why it's my keep film. I still also don't know how the hell the 3 seashells work, but I freaking love this film. If we eventually do a movie starring Rob Schneider, guess what? Demolition Man's gonna be on the top of the list. If we do an episode on movies starring Sandra Bullock, guess what? This movie is gonna be at the top of the list. If we do with something with Dennis Leary, oh geez, because the ref is there too. It's going to be up there though, for sure. But Demolition Man, to me, is the best Sylvester Stallone film because it plays on everything that he's good at, right? An action star, yes. A comedic actor, because this script, despite all the action, is ridiculously funny. And keep in mind, too, this is one of those rare films where the director of this film, this is like his only major motion picture as a director. And it's brilliant. Like, this film stands out amongst so many others of its peers and does not get the love that it deserves. I stand by that.
Hey, Pantheon listeners, Christian Swain here. You caught me just finishing up some editing on Getting Real with John and Beth. I want to share my first experience with Factor Meals for you. I think you'll find this interesting because I bet the same thing happens to you. I had just received my first shipment from Factor Meals the other day, and I was excited to try one of the prepared restaurant quality meals for myself. Anyway, I was working away and noticed it was very late, and it was my night to make dinner. I jumped up and headed to the kitchen, went to grab the ingredients for the dish I was going to make, and realized I was missing a prime ingredient. Well, I could make a run to the store, or I could make one of my new Factor meals. Actually, the choice was easy. I grabbed a cavatappi, an Italian-style pork ragu with garlic broccoli, heated the oven per instructions, and minutes later was enjoying a very delicious, nutritious, and dietitian-approved meal. It really was everything Factor Meals said it would be. No prep, no mess meals. Factor Meals are 100% ready to heat and eat. Take it from me and head to factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. That's factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. Hey, Pantheon listeners, Christian Swain again with something every podcast listener and music junkie needs to hear. As I'm sure you can guess, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I also listen to a lot of music, so having high-quality headphones and earbuds are absolutely critical to my day. Oh, and I have numerous pairs. In fact, I have a junk drawer of used devices that have bitten the dust, so I've tried them all. Recently, I was sent a pair of earbuds by Raycon, and the first thing I noticed was the cost. Looks like their products are about half the price of other premium brands. Okay, that's cool. And the reviews seem pretty stellar. Okay, checks that box. So I got my Raycon everyday earbuds. A nice packaging to open, and what I immediately noticed were the pack of ear tips for sizing. I'll tell you, I have small ear canals. I know a flaw. So to see choices for the best fit, especially while exercising, oh yeah. And yes, they were immediately comfortable. Sound quality was great too. Plus, I have 3 EQ options that I love because I like more bass in my music and less in the podcasts. 8 hours of playtime for the battery is great as well. Surround sound, noise canceling, and awareness mode all included. I think I'm in business, and I just realized I've had them in all day. Like I said, super comfortable. Go to buyraycon.com/Pantheon today to get 20% off your Raycon order plus free shipping. That's right. You'll get 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/Pantheon.
My watch film, though, is a bit more of a deeper pick as far as his filmography goes. My watch film is Daylight. So let me set this up here. It's kind of like a little mini disaster film where he's not necessarily the action star Sylvester Stallone. You know, this isn't Rambo. This isn't, you know, one of those, like, this isn't like Cobra, you know. So he plays Kit Latura, who works as part of the, I guess, city infrastructure for New York. And something happens in one of the tunnels under the Hudson River, and he is sent in to rescue the people before the tunnel collapses and drowns the people that are in there. So it's a very claustrophobic film. It's a very, you know, it's a typical 90s, you know, disaster action film. I think the thing I like about this film, though, is that, yes, his character is brave, but he's not superhero, right? He's not superhero brave, right? He doesn't have the answer to everything. And there are points in this film where his character, Kit Latura, is literally like, I don't know what the to do. I am in a situation that you could not conceive in all of our, you know, disaster scenario training sessions. And you're like, okay, cool. And it feels like this crazy labyrinth underneath the city of New York. And you have to think that some of that is based in reality, and like some of these rooms that are there and no one really knows about. So I found it very fascinating. Amy Brenneman, who also stars in this film, I think really humanizes Stallone in it. So if you're looking for a decent film for Stallone that is not one of his, you know, his major characters, i.e. Rocky or Rambo, this is a good one to go to, despite it not having the best rating. But for watch films, what are you picking?
Well, as you know, there was a moment in time when I would literally set myself up for a Rocky marathon, and I would watch all of the Rocky movies. I would take a weekend, and it would be the entire Rocky story. So I know that I can't pick all of them. I think, I mean, each and every one it was just such an endearing story. Like, and every one of the movies built upon the one previous, but I think I really liked Rocky Balboa the best.
I can see that.
It's kind of like, you kind of see how he's grown, and like, you know, the next generation of the fighters, and it's just kind of like a nice, I don't know, like that nice tied up with a beautiful bow at the end of the storyline. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Rocky Balboa.
You really can't be hard pressed. You know, if you say that Rocky Balboa is on your list, like, it is arguably one of the best Rocky films. Like, yes, you know, as mentioned in the worst screenplays of the 2000s episode that we did just last week, I picked Rocky V as my pass on that one, and I professed my love for Rocky IV. You know, Rocky 1, the original Rocky, right? Like, I think it's the character.
They're all so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with any one of them.
Well, Rocky V.
But just the progression of his storyline. Like, you're just, you know what? You're just rooting for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I really should. I should queue up another Rocky marathon.
Well, one of these days we're going to have to go down Rocky IV road. So, you know, that's going to happen, because I'll be sitting there and begging and pleading, because it maybe it's the soundtrack, maybe it's the time in my life that I got to see it, but Rocky 4 resonates with me. But yes, Rocky Balboa, is the superior Rocky film to Rocky 4. I just like Rocky 4, but that's just me. But now it's past time. And don't worry, Stallone's not in the room, so he's not going to wag his finger admonishingly. I might, but depending on what you pick. What is your past film?
Well, I have to say as a disclaimer that I realized in doing my research that I haven't seen enough Sylvester Stallone movies. I haven't. Because there were a lot of titles there where I'm like, I haven't seen that. And no, I haven't seen that. Most of which had Expendables and then a number beside it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many do they have? Like, what are we up
4.
to? 4.
Because our listeners who, follow us have already heard our Grading on a Curve special for the movies that were nominated for Worst Film of the Year at this year's awards, and Expendables 4 was one of those films.
Well, there you have it. I haven't seen 1 through 4. I haven't seen an entire I have missed the Expendables
Quadromania, if you will.
I was going for
Your quadfecta?
I don't know. I want to say like trilogy, but quadrilogy.
Yeah, quadrilogy would work.
Quadrilogy.
If you can say it, you can make it work.
I have missed all 4 quarters of the Expendables
Super
universe.
The Expendables Super Bowl, you've missed all 4 quarters.
There you go.
But what is your past film?
So I guess, I haven't watched Expendables, so I'm going to continue to pass on it because I haven't seen them.
But which one are you passing on?
I'm going to have to pass on 4.
Yeah.
Because usually, right? Usually they take a good property and then they do it again because they made money off it, so why not? And then they do it to death. So by the time you get to the 4th one, Christ, like Fast and Furious, how many of those are there?
I'm still waiting for Fast and Furious in space because that's when you know that they've not just jumped the shark, but they ran it over and then they backed over it with a really cool car.
Yeah.
My past film is one that, again, in that 80s era, that Canon Films 80s era of Stallone films. And it's over the top. I have to preface a couple things here, okay? I get that not anything, well, really nothing with the Canon Films, animation off the top of the film is going to be a good film because Canon Films. We're talking about the company that killed Superman, okay? With Nuclear Man. I digress. But still, over the top, let me put it this way. There's a story about this film where after it came out, and David Engelbach, the guy who wrote the original script, saw the film and saw the changes that the studio made for this film, he had tears in his eyes because they ruined his story. They took a film that was more about, heart and connection and turned it into a movie about arm wrestling and driving truck. It was your face. I wish this was a video podcast because your face tells me everything. At the 8th Razzie Awards, the film was nominated 3 times. Stallone was nominated for Worst Actor. He lost to Bill Cosby in Leonard Part 6. And David Mendenhall, who played the kid in this film, was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor and won. He also won for Worst New Star. He won Worst New Star over Jim Varney in Ernest Goes to Camp. So,
whoa.
Now,
oh dear.
The Razzies have recently turned around and said, we're not going to nominate kid actors. And I completely and utterly agree with that. And I say that even though I could not stand the character that David Mendenhall played in this, Michael, the kid. The problem is, and it's not David Mendenhall's fault, they wrote the character poorly. They did. They wrote him annoying. They wrote him to be an unlikable kid. And even though there were moments where, Stallone's trying to reconnect with his son and the son's just starting to come around, but again, he falls back into these bratty tropes. And that's the script. If that's the script, then yes, David Mendenhall played a really good brat. Although, funny thing about David Mendenhall, I was today years old when I learned that he was the voice of Daniel Witwicky in the Transformers movie. Like the animated, the OG. Like, the one with frickin' the touch from Stan Bush. You got the touch. That Daniel Witwicky is David Mendenhall. So in one movie, I'm not a fan of him. In Transformers the movie, I'm a fan. But I guess it's just one of those things where it's just such a cheesy movie. And I can't wrap my head around how you take a look at the rest of his 80s output and go, oh yeah, over the top. Yeah. No. Just no. And I say that knowing I've watched it a few times. So I really have my hate credentials on for that film. But Carrie, thank you for this. Please remind our listeners what your keep, watch, and pass films are for movies starring the all-time Razzie Awards winner, Mr. Sylvester Stallone.
I am keeping Oscar. I'm watching Rocky Balboa, and I am passing on Expendables 4 and the entire franchise, it seems.
You know what? I will give Expendables 2 its credit. That one is fun because it really leans into the idea of every single action hero movie from that era is in it. So I appreciate that. I am keeping Demolition Man. Duh. I am watching Daylight and I am passing on Over the Top. Carrie, thank you for an absolute fun month of Razzie-themed episodes of Keep, Watch, Pass. And to you, our listeners, thank you for hanging in there for 4 episodes where we just talk about Razzie-themed episodes. Now, we want to know, now that we're done the Razzies, what topics do you want us to talk about? Hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out all of our other shows. And by the way, if you like our music show, There Can Only Be One, you can hear us live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, streaming on live365.com or download the app and listen to us there. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Keep, Watch, Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.